I want to welcome you to the Extra Investor presentation of the Ensurge update. I'm Kevin Barber, I'm the CEO of Ensurge, and I want to apologize. We had some technical difficulties just a few moments ago in making Facebook work in this presentation, and so we are now starting again. I hope now all of you can hear and see the presentation. So I look forward to sharing the update for our company, and I apologize for the technical issues. As we've spoken before, our strategy, our focus is to deliver the first milliamp hour solid-state microbattery. We're addressing a huge existing market of 1 billion plus units of applications in the hearables, wearables, and IoT, industrial IoT connected sensors markets. Our definition of a milliamp hour battery ranges from about 1 to 100 milliamp hours, where we see all of these applications requiring the batteries, where it may be wearables in the 10 to 20 milliamp hour range, hearing aids in the 25 milliamp hour range, or true wireless stereo, hearables, which is in the 40 or 50 or 60 milliamp hour range. These are all applications that our technology and our focus is keenly addressing. Our unique benefits include higher energy density compared to liquid electrolyte lithium-ion batteries, enabled by our steel and by our solid-state architecture. And it includes the ability for us to customize the form factor of the batteries, which many of the wearable applications are keenly interested in. The benefits of solid state compared to lithium ion include faster charging, which is really important for wearable applications, wanting to minimize the amount of time for the application to be off the body. It includes higher pulse discharges, which is important for when these devices need to communicate using Bluetooth RF technology and to communicate with other devices. Those high pulses are very important in the architecture of the battery itself. And then long cycle life is, of course, very important for the useful life of the application and the device that the consumer is using. This market is not only existing and is large, but it's growing. And the number of customers we've been discussing are looking for better batteries to further expand this market. And we see a fast growing market going beyond today's market size. A little about the company. We launched our solid-state lithium microbattery strategy in 2020, based on the technology and the history of our proven technology using roll-to-roll manufacturing with intellectual property and barriers and materials and packaging that have been developed over these past more than 10 years when the company was founded in 2005. All of our activity is here in San Jose, California, with the employees and with the factory that you see here in the middle of the slide of a very large and capable facility that we have installed our pilot line roll-to-roll equipment and have the expansion potential to increase the capacity over time within the 70,000 square foot footprint building. Today, we have roughly 40 employees with semiconductor and battery experience working and delivering on our unique technology and products to our customers. In these past 2 years, we've been very focused on engaging dozens and many tens of customers in the commercial space, in the wearables, hearable, industrial IoT markets, where they're focused on delivering their innovative solutions requiring unique batteries. And recently, we began to discuss our strategy expanding to explicitly focus on strategic partners, driven by major technology companies who are looking at our core cell performance. These companies include consumer device manufacturers and battery manufacturers who know batteries very well, bring their own technology to our conversations, and we have active discussions with today 4 companies. Their interest is in utilizing our core cells to look at ways we can work together with their technology, particularly battery packaging technology, and looking at ways to jointly develop unique solutions together that meet their device or their market requirements. This path to commercialization will be different than the commercial customer side. It may include licensing. It will likely include upfront and ongoing NRE and/or equity investments. And ultimately, towards the end of our joint development activity, may include manufacturing rights through royalty and/or investment. This does not take anything away from our continued focus on commercial customers. And over these last several months, we've added a dozen additional customers where we're in discussions to define unique batteries that meet their specific requirements for customized complete batteries. These are continuing to be customers that require performance or form factors that are just simply not available in the market today with traditional batteries. The commercialization path for these customers is product sales of these manufactured batteries and NRE development for the product application support and the customization. We've made significant recent progress across multiple areas, starting with the discussions we've been having with strategic partners. As I mentioned, we are in discussions with 4 major technology companies. This establishes really a new path for our technology commercialization. And today we're building coin cells with single layer unit cells that enables a way for us to sample our core single layer unit cells to these partners and customers. We recently announced our first strategic partner agreement, and we shipped to that company at the end of August our initial coin cells for their evaluation. On the commercial customer side, we've added 12 new customers, which is doubling our pipeline of active engagements as more and more companies recognize the need for superior batteries and are looking to our technology to meet their needs for their unique and innovative products. Here in the US, the FDA announced that they've approved the sale of hearing aids over the counter. This, the FDA estimates, will allow an expansion of the market size where they estimate 30 million people are underserved with hearing impaired health and looking for the ability to acquire these hearing aids over the counter rather than requiring a medical exam to acquire hearing aids. And then finally, our customers continue to engage with us in defining products and solutions, including the 5 that we signed last year. And then on the technology progress, as we announced about a month ago, we're very excited about the progress we've made in interfacial engineering breakthroughs. This is really critical as the technology of our performance fundamentally relies on managing the interfaces between the different layers of our technology. This is unique with solid-state batteries and how you engineer that. And the innovations that our team have developed and the knowledge that we've gained have the potential that we can translate that not just to microbatteries, but to larger scale solid-state batteries as well. The result of that is that we've significantly lowered the impedance, which we've now seen huge volume increases in improving the consistency of our cycling and energy capacity, which is enabling us to pursue the sampling as we've discussed. And then for the balance of 2022, our ongoing focus includes ongoing discussions with our strategic partners, our commercial customer pipeline, and that will continue to occur in parallel. We'll continue to focus on delivering the coin cell samples to our potential strategic partners beyond the first that we've already achieved, as well as delivering our initial stack samples to our commercial customers. And then we continue to prepare our operational readiness for production deliveries as we continue to have one customer wanting initial production shipments at the very end of 2022. Our strategy is built on a very innovative microbattery architecture that combines these 4 elements to create a unique technology foundation that we find no one else has been pursuing. It starts with the technology the company has been developing these past 10 years using ultra-thin stainless steel substrates to build high-performance electronics that we are now applying to microbatteries. This is a fundamental enabler to deliver higher energy density, as our substrate is quite thin compared to competing solid-state microbattery alternatives. It brings high mechanical strength, which is really important as we look at the different applications and their requirements, that the battery is robust and not brittle and can withstand the rigors of the applications. We then bring innovative cell stacking and packaging that takes our unit cells that are built on the steel and then builds up the final battery through the cell stackage and packaging materials that enables maximize energy density. It continues to enable customization. And our format of our battery allows for contacts of the anode and cathode for direct printed circuit board connection using what you would see as typical MLCC conventional SMT technology. All of this is enabled with our roll-to-roll manufacturing facility. This is critical to be able to deliver the throughput, the volumes that are relevant for these markets at an appropriate low cost. Our architecture enables the ability to use a conventional manufacturing environment, where other battery technologies using lithium metal anodes require dry rooms that are very expensive and difficult to operate. Our anode-less solid-state chemistry can be manufactured in a conventional manufacturing environment that does not require a dry room. This allows us to lower the cost of manufacturing of our battery technology, both due to the conventional manufacturing environment, but also as we do not require the deposition of the anode, but we create the anode in the initial cycling of the battery. This technology has been proven by many companies, was originally developed in the 1990s by Oak Ridge National Laboratories, and is a well-known and proven chemistry technology that has shown long cycle life and can deliver rapid charging and high pulse discharges. So as we combine these four things, each of them on their own has been proven. Steel substrates, the innovative stacking, roll-to-roll manufacturing, anode-less solid-state chemistries, each of these on their own have been demonstrated. It is our unique integration that we've been working on these past 2 years and how we put this all together that delivers the innovation of this architecture that is unique. And we stand alone as the only company we are aware of focused on the milliamp hour solid-state microbattery opportunity that's huge and in front of us today. There's a long list of value propositions this technology delivers. These are 9 of them that we discuss with our customers and partners that we can deliver with this technology. These value propositions are relevant and are driving both the strategic and our customer engagements. Of course, charge cycles and energy densities are frequently discussed as important battery metrics, and we intend and can demonstrate superior performance on those metrics. But there are others, which is, as I've mentioned, high pulse, fast charge, long shelf lives, the ability to operate in wide operating temperatures, which is important to industrial IoT customers, the ability to implement these batteries with low temperature reflow, which is incredibly important for high volume manufacturers of electronics, the form factor flexibility, and then the inherent safety of solid-state lithium, which is safer than lithium ion. What we find is the ones that most customers resonate with are the fast charging, the form factor flexibility, and the energy density. Temperature tolerance is very interesting, as I mentioned, to industrial IoTs, but these are all enabled by our ultra-thin steel and our solid-state chemistry, which we are very unique in delivering on both. And this set of differentiations is only possible with those technology capabilities. And at the product level, then it results in our ability to compete against lithium-ion button cells with twice the energy densities in these microbattery applications, long cycle lives, fast charging speeds with a safer chemistry, and our ability to deliver unique end products that you can see examples of in the bottom right, of ultra-thin, rectangular, or cubic shapes that meet different applications volume requirements. I'm often asked who are our competitors, and so we publicly talk about that just to be clear. At the end of the day today, we're focused on a set of markets that are being served by lithium-ion suppliers, whether that be button cells, which Varta is a leader in, or lithium polymer pouches for wearables, which a lot of those batteries come from different companies in China. We have no aspirations to completely replace lithium-ion. We are focused on delivering a premium alternative that enables new capabilities and user experiences that are just not possible with lithium-ion. And this market is so huge, we can build a very sizable, very profitable company with our unique technologies and provide an alternative to lithium-ion that delivers form factor flexibility and a wide range of technical benefits to unique applications and devices. There are other solid-state microbattery makers. They today have only announced batteries in the microamp hour space, below 1 milliamp hour. And they are targeting a narrow substate of the market. But as I've mentioned, for the applications we are targeting that have a billion unit market size, all of those applications require milliamp hour capacities, nominally mostly starting at 10 milliamp hours or more, which are beyond the capacities of today's current solid-state products that are in the market today. A high-level discussion of how we make our battery is what this slide is showing. We start with a very long roll of ultra-thin stainless steel, hundreds of meters long, where we deposit the cathode, the solid electrolyte, and the other layers that are required to build the core cell of the battery. At the end of all of that processing, about halfway through the end of the process, we then can define the shape and the size of our unit cells. We can customize that length and the width, and then we singulate those cells out from the roll, and we stack those same size cells on top of each other, and provides us the third dimension of customization, which is the height based on the number of stacks that we package into the final battery. We then encapsulate the battery for hermeticity and moisture protection, and we add the terminals, connectors on the sides for the anode and the cathode. And we now have a final product that is able to be reflowed in standard electronics manufacturing using surface mount technology equipment, which is very convenient for electronics applications. On the customer side, as I've mentioned, we've had 5 signed agreements this last year, both in the hearing aid market, the wearable fitness markets, industrial IoT applications, and then finally the digital health applications, a unique wearable. Most of these not able to go to market without the solid-state technology that we're developing. We added a dozen customers into the active engagements category that we show here. Now 16 of them in the wearable market across a range of wearable devices, whether it be eyes or ears or wrists or others, a wide innovative world of different wearable applications, increasing by the digital health trend, the augmented reality trend that is coming, looking for more and more wearable devices that need local battery power. And then a wide range of industrial IoTs, whether they're in the sports or in the car and personal hygiene or others, we see again a wide range of innovative battery requirements. In total, 24 active engagements that we have today. We have a big pipeline behind that, and so we see strong commercial interest in the technology and the products that we're developing. A quick summary of our high-level milestones. In 2019, for those of you who know the history of our company, we announced that we were exploring options for our roll-to-roll factory, and we exited the print electronics business. At the very beginning of 2020, we announced our decision that we would design and build solid-state microbatteries. We raised our first monies in May of that year, and we then announced that we had successfully demonstrated first batteries on our Ensurge equipment. Having filed multiple specific intellectual property filings, that was the foundation of the beginning of our development of our technology. In 2021, then we took that start and we then applied it to our 10 micron steel and validated that we continue to demonstrate entitlement battery performance. And we then began our efforts to develop our packaging technology. It's now been 1 year since we installed our stacking equipment and been working to develop our innovative cell stacking and packaging and test activities. And during 2021, we announced for our 5 customer agreements. And now in 2022, we've then begun to finalize the packaging. We continue to work on that, and then deliver our initial samples and production and revenue with additional customer engagements. So in summary, we're focused on delivering the first solid-state milliamp hour with tens of milliamp hour of capacity microbatteries, with a clear roadmap to a multiple billion-dollar company valuation based on within our existing San Jose facility, the ability to deliver $100 million a year in EBITDA. We have an experienced leadership and management team focused on this really large and rapidly growing multiple billion unit market, 10 billion market TAM today and growing, including hearables, wearables, and IoT applications, where we will improve existing applications with our batteries and increasingly enable new ones, which are not possible with today's battery technology. We have a novel architecture that continues to be validated every month as we look at the market, we talk to companies, we talk to customers, that what we're doing is unique, and what we can do is deliver superior energy density, customizable form factors, and better performance, all enabled with our unique steel substrate and innovative stacking and packaging technology. And we've made great progress these last 2 years, and we continue to focus on our initial production to our initial customer at the end of this calendar year. So that concludes my prepared presentation, and I thank you for listening, and I think we'll now open it up to some questions.
Thanks, Kevin. I will ask some questions which I have received from the audience prior to this sort of presentation. So my first question is that can you elaborate a little bit on why the interest of core cell samples from multinational companies has increased significantly over the last 2 to 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, I think it's a really important question. The interest has increased as I think 2 things have happened. Number one, we've made progress. Our technical progress has become understood, that we're at a stage to be able to do that. And then for some of these companies we've been talking to, they bring significant battery knowledge, they bring significant battery expertise coming from their different perspectives. And they're looking to solve problems beyond what our initial product roadmap entails. They're looking to include some of their technology into a final product. They're looking to understand our technology and look to develop unique solutions that meets their requirements that go beyond the roadmap that I've presented here today. And so these are sophisticated companies with great deep technical capabilities. And so while they may very well be interested in our standard technology and products that can be derived from that technology, Most of the conversation is exploring the opportunities to go beyond that and to do some development of unique joint capability. So that's I think how it's evolved and the nature of the conversations that we're having.
It's or at least I get a lot of questions regarding who are these companies, and I understand that you can't sort of say their names, but could you sort of describe, sort of without sort of saying their names, sort of the size of these players or what kind of area they are focused at and so forth? Sort of, is that possible?
Well, we've said already publicly, these include consumer device manufacturers. These include battery manufacturers. So from their nature, their focus, those are the kind of companies that we're talking to. These all are large companies. These bring meaningful resources. They bring meaningful technology knowledge. So they are not always users of batteries. As I mentioned, some of them are battery manufacturers. And so their perspective is unique to each other. So each of them are different. The conversations are different in each case because their view of what their strategy is unique. So that's the characterization I can give. They're large, sophisticated technology companies from the consumer device and battery marketplaces.
And sort of a contract agreement, how would that look like with these players, unit-wise and revenue-wise? How large could that be?
Yeah, so let me say a couple things. Let's start with the end game. The end game is each of these individually, should they come to ultimate fruition, would represent hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue per year to sell batteries to them of whatever the resulting development may result in. So these are large opportunities. So I say that gives you a sense of the size of the conversations. But that's not the only outcome possible. The outcomes could end up being licensing agreements. Therefore, while the volume that might be represented in the agreement is equivalent to hundreds of millions of dollars of annual revenue of batteries, it may be a licensing agreement, and that sale of product is accomplished in another path. Ensurge would then be the beneficiary of licensing or royalty income, and so that would be a lesser amount, but it would be pure cash. We would not be manufacturing the building. We'd not need to spend the money on the capital. We would not need to manufacture the batteries. We would be just earning royalties or licensing fees, and so a very, very profitable business alternative. And so it's too early to determine which of those paths we may go down, but the size of the volume in all of these cases are very large, and so that's why they're unique. So I think I would just answer it that way, Ståle.
And you have said that these relationships, when Ensurge are starting to engage more deeply with these players, we are expecting or would sort of require upfront payments from these players to go forward with the relationships. Could you sort of elaborate a little bit on what the size of these upfront payments would be, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, this gets a little harder to answer. So each of these conversations, I will say it again, are unique. Each company is different. But the basic sequence of events are similar. The sequence of events will start with, as they're asking for now, the coin cells, to evaluate the core unit cells. That will validate that they see the foundation that we can work together on. That may or may not involve much money. That's not where the NRE really conversation starts in any substantive way. When the NRE starts is with the joint development effort. Each of the companies will be unique, and so that can be a substantial multi-year substantive size of NRE to do a big development project, or it may be more modest. And so it will depend on the company. We are having both of those kind of conversations today. And so they will not be common with each other. I'll say it that way. So the range of the monetary NRE upfront to sample coin cells will be modest to none. The amount of NRE for the joint development will range from 7 digits, small 7 digits, to substantial 7 or 8 digits, depending on the scope of the development work. So that's kind of the range of NRE. And then beyond the NRE phase, after the joint development, then that's when the conversation really then needs to turn to manufacturing. And the manufacturing then would then require a decision on the partners and our part to decide how that will be pursued. Will we jointly pursue that? Will we pursue that? Will they pursue that? Will that be a license model? Will we do a contract for contract manufacturing? Will they buy the capital? Who will own what? There's many possibilities. And so that's too early to say, but that will be the required next step before production. So that's the sequence of events, as best I can describe it in these early days today.
Just a clarification, Kevin. When you say NRE, what do you mean? What is that translated into? Just for the audience to understand that.
Yeah, NRE stands for non-recurring engineering. So non-recurring means it's a one-time project paying for engineering development effort. And so we would define a scope of work that we would agree to engage with them on to develop with them. And then depending on the scope of that work, we would be paid to do that work. And ultimately that would yield a new technology, which would enable a new product capability, which would then lead to a conversation on how we proceed with building that product for that partner or for that market that the partner and us have defined together.
So I guess if the result would be that Ensurge Micropower was to manufacture these battery cells on behalf of these players, I guess the current manufacturing capabilities in San Jose needs to be, it's not going to be enough. You need to find other manufacturing facilities to do that, because the volume will be so large.
Right. So I've talked about this before, but I should be specific. So San Jose, we estimate, can do about 20 to 30 million batteries a year of what we expect to be the average energy capacity of the batteries. That can produce a really profitable business for many wearables and IoT applications and some hearable applications. But for this volume that we're talking about of hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, for these kind of conversations, you're correct. It would need a new facility in a lower cost location than San Jose, California, and it would need much bigger footprint. And so the conversation then evolves to, who does that, where is it, and how is that accomplished? So there's lots of possible business models that it's too early to know the answer.
Okay, here's another question from the audience. Is that the person says that he uses hearing aid as millions of people around the world are doing, and he changes the battery every 5 days. how long will an Ensurge battery work if it's implemented, or when it's implemented in a hearing aid application?
Yeah. So the conversation we've had with hearing aid companies, there are the two metrics that the goal. One is enough capacity and enough energy capacity in the hearing aid that it can last with incredibly high reliability. It can last all day. And then when the user goes to sleep, they put it into a charging device on their nightstand next to where they're sleeping. And then, so that's the size of the battery. It's a 1 day use. It can be longer than that, but that's a minimum. But the more important metric that we've heard is that the battery lasts 3 years, that the battery then is able to be recharged for at least 3 years before the battery needs to be replaced in the hearing aid. So the 3 years means that if you're going to charge it every day, you need 1,000 cycles. And that is the minimum target for that applications that we very clearly have heard from hearing aid companies. And that is our target, to be more than 1,000 cycles. And the definition of cycle life is that it is, if you have a rated capacity of a battery, let's say we provide a 20 milliamp hour battery to a customer, is that after you cycle many, many times, the definition is the capacity is above 80% of the rated capacity. So that, for example, a 20 milliamp hour battery, you have more than 1,000 cycles, that the capacity remains above 80% of 20 milliamp hours or 16 milliamp hours, so that when the company designs the battery, it's meeting the charging lifetime that the company has committed to. So that's the spec, 80% of the rated capacity for 1,000 cycles, and enough capacity that's designed into the battery to at least be usable for a day, maybe longer. That's up to the hearing aid company to decide that. But that's the kind of specifications we've been in discussions with for hearing aid companies.
Thanks. And to sort of just clarify that, we don't have any plans to produce batteries that fit existing hearing aids, because our battery will, of course, be made specifically for new releases. Isn't that the way?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And actually, it's very interesting. You know, today rechargeable hearing aids are using round button cells, of course. And you know, you would think, well, the hearing aid companies and other hearable companies and other wearable companies, they like that. Well, it turns out, no, not really. They actually think a rectangular battery is more natural fit to their form factor for a hearing aid and a hearable application. That is actually easier for them to design around the form factor of a rectangular shape than a round shape. So, you know, I'm not going to say the round ones are not usable, but we find that in our conversations so far, they're not asking us to do a round. They don't want us to do a round battery. They want us to do a specific shape. You know, they all are a little different, but a specific shape, because it solves some of their product design challenges. So yes, it'll be the case that we're not trying to replace exactly existing ones. We will develop a battery for a new hearing aid that enables a new design. Excuse me.
And another question from the audience here is that when do you expect that consumers can buy a product that uses an Ensurge micro battery?
Well, as I've mentioned, the digital health company that we're working with, they intend to have their product in the market in Q1 of next year. And so those would be the batteries we need to start providing to them at the end of this calendar year or January of 2023, but we need to meet their initial production requirements. And they intend to launch that product early 2023. So that would be possible to buy that product early next year.
Thanks. And there's some questions about this high pulse discharge, this 5 times. Could you sort of elaborate a little bit more on that? How that sort of, why that is so important, and why our battery is so good to perform according to that?
Yeah, so high pulse is describing how rapidly the voltage on the battery can change without damaging the battery. With a RF communications device in most of these end applications, Bluetooth is the most common, but sometimes it's 5G, sometimes it's other RF technologies, but Bluetooth is the most common. You need that pulse to be very quick, a very, very sharp pulse. And to accomplish that with lithium-ion batteries, you need to oversize the battery capacity to provide enough charge to meet that technical requirement of the Bluetooth communications device. With solid-state chemistry, the chemistry itself is able to provide that rapid pulse without providing the additional capacity in the battery compared to lithium-ion. So solid-state chemistry is able to handle that very rapid voltage swing than lithium-ion. Now, lithium-ion can do it, but you need to oversize the battery. You need to buy a bigger battery than you really need, which takes up space, takes up volume, is more expensive, and is not necessary. So we can provide that pulse, and that allows more design freedom for the end customer designing the battery into their product. They can design around the benefits of solid-state chemistry and providing that faster charge. It's not charge, excuse me, faster pulse.
You also say in the presentation that our Ensurge technology could have also benefits for sort of the EV space manufacturers. How do you see that develop, or how do you going to pursue sort of that technology sharing or technology sales going forward?
Yeah, I think this is so it's a longer term. It's a longer term thing. It's an insight that we've gained from Dr. Shirley Meng, our technical board advisory member, who continues to visit us every month in person and spends a day with our technical team. And it is her observation that what we've learned these last several months, and she works with many companies around the world, and she has insights as a battery expert, a very well-renowned battery expert, that some of our learning has applicability to some of the challenges that other companies may be having in developing other solid-state batteries. So it's a little bit tricky. We need to pursue potential competitors and potential alternatives, and particularly the EV space, to explore whether there's an opportunity for us to license and share our technology that is in a very specific area of our processing. We're going to rely on Shirley to help us with that process. So it's, I want to caution. It's a technology statement at the moment. We'll pursue it commercially, but it'll probably take some time to explore that.
But it's fair to say that when Shirley says that, she is on, I don't know if she's on advisory boards or something, but she talks to these players all the time.
Yeah, I can't be specific. I know what she's talking about, but I can't talk about it. So it is fair to say she knows what she's talking about. I'll just say that.
That's good enough. So the last question is that now you have sort of described in the presentation 2 distribution strategies, really. It's not sort of, do you see sort of these 2 strategies which you are describing, sort of the twin strategies as you expressed to the market, do you see the benefits from these two strategies affecting the other one? That means if you're doing good in the one, will that affect the other strategy and vice versa?
Well, it's possible, but I don't see that today. I don't see that today. I think they exist separately. I think they will take a life of their own. They're going to grow increasingly independent of each other. As we talked about the scale of them, they're different. And so they will develop naturally. There may come a point where there's a potential impact, but at the moment we actually see the opposite in some of the cases, not all of them, but in some of the cases. It doesn't prevent the possibility that the same company is interested in both. They're interested in a joint development and they're interested in our standard technology. So that possibility remains. So it's early, but at the moment we'll pursue them independently. If it comes to a point where there's a conflict, we'll need to determine the right strategy to move forward with that. It's possible to split and completely split the efforts. I think there's many scenarios to make sure that we can pursue both of them relatively independently.
Okay, Kevin, that was all from me.
Well, that's great, Ståle. I thank you for all of your questions. Thank you for your interest in spending your afternoon with us, and I look forward to giving another update as Ensurge continues to make progress in our technology and our commercial efforts. And I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.